Are you stuck with a boss who drains the life out of you? Trust me, in my 8 years of corporate experience, I have had a lot of such situations. And especially speaking about my last experience when I was handling a training team, I met one such person whom you call toxic. And that made me realize that it's not my cup of tea and I should move on as soon as I can. While I had an option, but not everybody is supposed to have an option, right? So, if you want to dedicate your work and if you want to deal with that particular toxic personality at the same time, there are a few things that you can implement that I implement too that help me out to get out of this chaos and live a healthy professional life. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mayank and I create videos, I create content to help you guys survive such situations. I have spent around 8 years in the corporate world. In the last organization that I was working with, I was handling a training team. And the way I told you, I had such a person whom I can clearly call toxic. But there were a few things that I could implement and that worked out for me and it can work out for you too. Whilst I parted my ways with the organization, I decided not to be stuck in this job anymore. There are many situations that are not favorable to you guys because not everybody has an option to quit, right? Listen to me. If you have an option to quit right away. But if you want to dedicate to work, if you are okay working with somebody, with an organization, that's totally alright. There are different minds, right? Different brains work differently. So there are a few points that you can consider that help me out too. And I'm sure that you will be able to take some ideas out of it. Tip number one is you got to recognize the signs. So not every boss would slam the doors or say acrimonious words to you, right? Some examples are very subtle. And the examples can be undermining your ideas, demeaning you in front of the other team members, or constantly trying to provoke you. That is toxicity too. And if you are prepared, you have recognized the signs properly, that takes to the tip number two that I'm going to introduce to you guys. So tip number two is you don't have to take it personally. A toxic person always, most of the times, projects their own insecurities. So you are not the problem. All you have to do is you have to focus on your work and let go of those thoughts. Because if you keep thinking about those things, that would stop you from putting in the best of your performance. And the other person, the other boss, the toxic one, may gain some profits out of it because the intent is to provoke you some way or the other. So the best thing you can do is to focus on your work and do not let anyone question the work that you're doing. Now that takes me to the third tip. This personally saved me many a times, and this turns out to be the most helpful way that you can ever do for yourself. Keeping notes of everything, every conversation that you have with your boss. You can keep a track of all the emails that were shared between you guys, keeping the notes of every conversations, and you can keep the notes of the telephonic conversations that you had to, so that if the situation escalates to the HR later, you have something to take care of it and you can openly provide what's bothering you without them getting a chance to question your work in the organization. Now, tip number four, in order to save yourself from a toxic boss, is set your boundaries straight. I dealt with a few situations wherein this person would call me 11 p.m. or early in the morning out of my shift hours and would want me to accomplish a few tasks that I'm not supposed to do. But then initially I entertained that, and later it became a habit that turned out to be very impactful to my work-life balance. So the best thing you can do to yourself is set the boundaries properly, make it very clear to everyone that you meet on the professional grounds that this is the time that you're working. If anything comes up beyond these hours, you're out of it. Now, tip number five is to find allies. Finding allies doesn't mean that you need to constantly be in touch with everyone whom you don't even like, but it simply tells you to have a group whom you can have this conversation with, who understands your point and you understand their points too. Even if there's just one person who understands where you're coming from, that will be a great help, and that will help you focus on your work and ignore this kind of toxicity at the workplace, because eventually it will impact your work as well. Tip number 6 is to use the HR strategically. Because if you reach out to the HR directly when everything has happened, they would have a tough time believing you if this actually happened or not, because your manager would always have an upper hand. So, if in serious scenarios wherein you experience some kind of bullying, sarcasm, or any other type of discrimination happening at the workplace, you should start to document those instances, and you can reach out to the HR as and when required, because visibility is more important. Tip number 7 is to have an exit plan ready with you, because at some point in time you would realize that exiting that situation or that workplace is the best thing that you can do to yourself, instead of constantly feeling the toxicity and getting your work life impacted. It's better that you explore new paths, new organizations, so that your skills remain intact and you don't have to deal with this kind of toxicity, at least for a good span of time. Because you believe it or not, I personally felt this, where everybody in the system is some way or the other interconnected. So only if you have the valid proofs to prove your point, to put it forward, that's when you have an upper hand. Else, your manager would always have an upper hand, and they can drive the things, even if it's as simple as linking with the HR and going against you. That won't be a tough nut to crack for them. So you should also consider the other lines of the business, not out of weakness, but out of strength, and just to keep your mental peace intact. And that's the best thing, believe me, you can do to yourself. Look, dealing with a toxic boss is draining, and trust me, it isn't that easy as it looks like. There can be instances wherein somebody is constantly provoking you to take a step that is unethical in terms of the organization perspective. But in order to save your own mental peace, in order to save your sanity, you'll have to deal with it. And the best way to deal with it is to have your performance, your work intact, and let the other things be taken care of by the other departments like the HR. Remember one thing, you're not stuck. You have always got options. So there's no need to take this toxicity and survive at the same workplace when you have got options to explore. Deep dive into every possible situation that you can. Reach out to every possible person that you can reach out to for help. If the things doesn't seem to be working out, then the best way is to part your ways with the organization and explore your own options. Your mental peace is everything that matters, nothing else. So if you found this video even a little bit helpful, drop a like, subscribe, and also share your story in the comment section so that we can all relate with each other. We can extend help to each other as and when required. Remember, you're not alone in this. There are many people around you who haven't been showing you, but they have been dealing with the same kind of toxicity at workplace. Share this video with them as well, so that if there's any scope of them being saved out of this kind of toxicity, you can help them out. Signing off for now. Thank you so much for staying this far. Have a great day ahead. I'll see you in the other one. Bye.